Justice is a fundamental right. Yet many women and girls around the world, and here in Iraq, still face barriers when trying to access it. Welcome to On the Move, an I Am Iraq production where we have honest conversations with our specialists about our support to the people of Iraq. In this episode, we are looking at access to justice for Iraqi women and girls, the challenges they face, and what is being done to address them. I'm your host, Olga Borzinkova, and today I'm joined by Clara Albarak, Legal Program Officer, who will help us unpack why access to justice is critical in Iraq's recovery phase. Thank you, Clara, for joining us. And let's start with basics. What is access to justice, and what does it mean in practical terms?
Hi, Olga, and thank you so much for having me. To begin with, it is very important to mention that the United Nations considers access to justice as a fundamental element for the rule of law and for achieving sustainable development goals, particularly SDG number 16, which is about justice, peace, and strong institutions. Now, when it comes to access to justice, it's really about having a legal and institutional framework that enables people to claim and enforce their rights. So in other terms, or in practical terms, if you want, it's really about the person knowing their rights first and understanding them clearly and properly, claiming them and enforcing them, as we said before, through clear, equitable, accessible, affordable also, and effective mechanisms and systems without any sort of discrimination, fear, or major barriers.
In the Iraqi context, what barriers do women face when they try to seek justice or access justice?
I mean, the first barrier we can think of and we have identified is the lack of awareness and information among women and girls about their rights, the procedures, the available mechanisms, remedies, illiteracy as well, lack of digital literacy, and the misinformation. The second one is the psychological barrier, right? Which can be also connected to the, let's say, cultural or social barrier. The fear of, repeating or reliving the trauma and the traumatic events through legal proceedings, restrictions on movement, regarding women and girls, the stigma they face when approaching authorities, the protection risks they might also encounter, including, violence, harassment. We can also mention the economic barrier. Displacement has led, not only displacement, everything we have mentioned, the atrocities as well, have caused women to lose the means to livelihood. They're not always, able to afford whatever cost, transportation to go to that directorate or to the court, and many are financially dependent on their male family members. But again, male family members are not always, ready to take action, But most importantly, there are two main barriers that we have been, hearing about, identifying, working on, which are connected to access to documentation and the importance of access to documentation to access justice.
So just as simple as that, just having a document to be able to access basic services.
So for many people, access to justice means, their ability to prove who they are. And I give an example: a woman who doesn't have a marriage contract, who has for example, deceased husband or a missing husband, and who have children, 2, 3, 4, 1, and these children also don't have documentation. They cannot literally access anything. Their lives stop because nothing: education, healthcare, social protection schemes, programming, compensation and reparations under the already existing laws. It's really about, being treated with respect, accountability, recognition, and so forth. So it adds a layer to, the barriers that women and girls face.
Yeah, so you really outlined like a combination of different barriers and challenges, but what has been done to address them? particularly by national institutions and partners?
Let's also highlight at first the efforts that the government of Iraq has been putting in place to restore and to achieve access to justice for all. There has been like improvements, great achievements. The Yazidi Survivors Law, the Compensation Law, number 20, and of course the recently passed Legal Assistance Law, number 7 of 2024. This is an example, and these, let's say, legislations or these laws have been so far a turning point when it comes to access to justice to everyone, including particularly women and girls. So, for example, on the Yazidi Survivors Law, which targets mainly women and girls, and of course other groups. It's so the government has basically assigned or like created and assigned a directorate for survivors affairs to be responsible for the operationalization of the law. More than 2,500 survivors have received financial compensation under the law, which is a great achievement. Same for the compensation law as well, supporting people also to access, compensation. And as I mentioned, the legal assistance law, which is quite new. The main purpose of it, or objective, is to create a council and to create legal centers across, Iraq, where the bar association or the syndicate, can support and can deploy lawyers to provide legal assistance. Now, of course, we're going to speak about some success stories. For example, IOM has led many local advocacy initiatives and also national ones with the Ministry of Health, for example, who has supported the establishment of age determination committees. They have different tasks, but one of them is to support determining the age of a child to obtain a birth certificate, consequently, of course, a national unified ID card to get enrolled in school and access services normally and smoothly. One of the examples I want to mention is a proof of lineage case, which is a very common case we deal with at the field level when you have a woman who has a missing husband, and you have to prove the lineage of children. So usually there is a DNA testing test that is required, and the only facility that can really do the test is in Baghdad. We had an exceptional case on this in Kirkuk, where the judge or the judiciary actors issued a proof of lineage case without the need to do a DNA, and it set the precedent. Not to forget about the of course civil society as well, who plays a huge role hand in hand with international actors and with the government to, of course, ensure access to justice for everyone.
Indeed, a lot is being done. You also mentioned that IAM supports the government in strengthening access to justice for women and girls. Can you tell more about it?
The thing is that we work on 3 different pillars. The first one is about access to direct legal assistance, right? So IOM, through its team of lawyers, legal experts, caseworkers, provides direct legal assistance to people in need. And by this we mean legal counseling, representation, and also information dissemination or awareness raising sessions on how to access documentation. Since 2022, we have reached more than 40,000 individuals who obtained basically civil documentation. By civil documentation, we mean a birth certificate, a death certificate, inheritance. Sometimes it's about also a marriage certificate, a national unified ID card, a public distribution system card under under social protection, and so forth. And we have also reached more than 30,000 people through awareness raising. The second pillar I want to speak about is basically system strengthening, working on also like reparations. They were here to support the government, and of course support the communities, access rights and justice. And the third pillar, which is also very important, because there is no access also to justice without having the voices of the people heard, and not only heard, but translated into policy work. And this is done by participation and, of course, peace building. So under this pillar, we work with civil society actors, community-based initiatives, grassroots organizations. So this is also part of what we do to ensure bridging, let's say, the gaps that exist at the local and of course the national level.
Thank you, Clara. Whether you're joining us from Baghdad, Erbil, or even abroad, we're glad you're here. Join us again next time, where we continue to explore different aspects of migration and its impact on the development of Iraq. This is On the Move.